A good introduction accomplishes the following 4 functions. It catches the reader's attention, it gives a brief background to the topic of discussion, it presents the core of the essay, the thesis statement, and it sets out the skeletal structure for the rest of the essay. One often begins with a hook to capture the audience's attention. A hook can, for instance, be a relevant quote, statistic, or anecdote. Yet, note that you should never merely present or state the quote, statistic, or anecdote without linking it to the next part of your introduction, a discussion of the background. What do I mean by that? For instance, think about the question, do you think image is everything? I decide to start with a statistic that, according to a UCLA study, a whopping 48% of women and 23% of men are interested in plastic surgery. Then, I proceed to talk about what image is. Realize that there is very little logical flow because there is no clear link between the statistic itself and the concept of image. This statistic could be very much more useful if I had elaborated that this reflects how important society deems the exterior image to be, which is a very nice lead on to the next part, the background. When you have a hook, make sure you weave the hook into the background. The background familiarizes the reader with your topic of discussion. It sketches the key issues to consider and it also defines some important terms. For instance, sticking to the image is everything question, my background should discuss what image and everything means and possibly highlight a key issue, that image is perceived, meaning it is what others process and not what merely one projects. After setting the background, one can now present the core argument, the thesis statement. The thesis statement should be broad enough to capture the entire gist of the essay, but specific enough to avoid being a factually true statement. A statement like, some people think that image is everything, but some don't, wouldn't make a very good thesis statement, would it? Because it doesn't state your opinion, it states a fact. An example of a thesis statement would be, while image is important in making first impressions, it is not everything because a good first impression can only take one so far. Lastly, you give the reader a preview of what's going to happen next. What is the scope that you will cover in your arguments? What sort of framework will you employ, if any? It could be a short sentence, for instance. In this essay, the role of image in a personal, business, and societal context will be examined. With that, you're set to go deep into each of the arguments you have. Note that your introduction is not your entire essay. Hence, do not try to elaborate on each argument in the introduction itself. Leave that for the rest of your essay.